Assalamu alaikum. I happened to watch one of the lectures of Sahil Adeem about it was sort of a reawakening and about Taghut. So he spent 15 minutes explaining the definition of Taghut. And then he went on saying that during the time of Ghazali or Imam Hanbal, the Muslims were ruling over the world. So there are some historical inaccuracies that must be corrected. The first thing is that Muslim, like other nations, ruled over uh, a portion of the world, a part of the world, or some people might call a significant part of the world, like in 732, 100 years almost after the demise of Prophet, peace be upon him, they had significant parts of the world under their control. But some, people like Sahil Adeem try to create an impression as if they were ruling over the entire world. That is not the case. Of course, they were ruling over Arabian Peninsula, Mesopotamia or Iraq, Syria, Central Asia, Iran, part of Afghanistan, and India at that time, uh, especially Sindh. In the same way, parts of North Africa and some part of Europe as well, especially southern Spain. Only the biggest empire that was ever established in the history of mankind was that of the UK. Before the Industrial Revolution, Europe dominated more than 35% of the world. And by 1945, they were ruling over almost 85% of the world, with the UK being the biggest imperial power, France, Portugal, Spain, Netherlands, Belgium. There were also other colonial powers as well as Japan. And Italy and Germany also tried their hand at colonizing different parts of the world. Did not they did not succeed a lot, just capturing some tiny areas in Africa or some smaller states in Africa. So historically, it should be corrected that Muslim did not rule over the world, because it creates a sense of superiority, a sense of arrogance, a sense of pride. Mongols established the largest landmass empire, stretching from Mongolia all the way to Europe, and so it is historically incorrect to say that Muslim ruled over the world. And as one nation, I think modern nation state concept is quite new, starting with the Treaty of Westphalia. So before that, of course, there were empires, but there were local governors who were trying to rule over different areas. The same was the case with Muslim. It was not a monolithic empire. For instance, when Abbasid were ruling over Baghdad and other parts of the world, there were Fatimid who were ruling over Egypt, parts of North Africa, and some part of Syria as well. And in the same way, there were different empires, at the time when the Turks were ruling over Ottoman Empire. There were, of course, later on, Mughals who were ruling over India, and in 16th century, of course, there were Safvis in Iran. So it was not monolithic. On the other hand, the empires that were established in the name of nations, like the French, like the English, they were to some extent monolithic. So the largest empire that has ever been created was created by the English, not by the Muslims. And then there are analysts who argue that we should not feel any sense of pride for the fact that we were ruling over the world, because imperialist powers are imperialist powers. If the United States can be criticized for unleashing a reign of terror against Iraq, invading that country, violating all international laws, subjecting people to violence. If the United States violated the international laws, attacking Afghanistan, and more than militarily intervening more than 223 times, if the English, captured different parts of the world, ruling over them, snatching the rights of the indigenous people, if the French did that, imposing French language on more than 17 countries or Africa, or rather around 18 countries altogether. The UK captured around 22 countries in Africa, if we look at from today's geographical point of view. if Portugal and Spain carried out, plundering in parts of the Americas, if the English displaced indigenous people in North America, establishing their hegemony there, so those empires are widely condemned today, not only by the indigenous people, but the people in the UK, in France, in Portugal, in Spain, in America as well. So we should not have any sense of pride for merely the fact that the Arabs or the Muslim who were imperialist in their own way at that time. So if they capture different territories, maintaining their hegemony there, that's not a matter of pride. It was the Muslim ruling elite that was enjoying. Otherwise, there were lower class Muslim. For instance, there has been a Zanji rebellion in Baghdad, and at the same time, these Muslim groups were fighting one and another. For instance, the Banu Umayyad ruled for 89 years, and afterwards, Banu Abbas or Abbasid came into power, carrying out ruthless massacre of the people belonging to the royal family of Banu Umayyah. And some historians have gone to the extent of explaining that the Abu Abbas as-Safa, who was one of the rulers, or rather the founders of the Abbasid Empire, he cut the Muslims belonging to Banu Umayyah to pieces, spreading them, putting a sort of hapre or a piece of cloth, and then enjoyed feast. So these examples have been there. So Muslim empire was not a monolithic empire, and Muslim rulers, like other imperialist powers, also used their imperial power. So we should not be feeling, we should not be feeling any sense of pride for the massacres uh, and slaughtering of the people carried out or perpetrated by Muslim rulers. They have nothing to do with ordinary Muslim. Of course, some people might argue that what Islam advocated was a defensive war. It did not invite aggression, and they cite one of the verses of the Holy Quran that says, "And oppression has crossed all its limits, so you should fight against those who are fighting you." So Islam did not invite any aggression, did not ask people to be aggressor, did not ask Muslim to invade any other country. If you look at Islamic history, Muhammad, peace be upon him, was trying to exercise his right to free speech. He was trying to put up his point of view when he climbed the Koh Safa or the Safa hill. He did not have any sword. He was not brandishing any sword. He merely said that if I say a group of people is going to attack you, will you believe me? He was trying to present 40 years of his character in front of the people and asking them if they would believe him or not. He was preaching, he was inviting people, he was trying to put up his point of view. But he was denied that. Conspiracies were hatched against him. He was persecuted. Some nasty people went to the extent of putting offal while he was bowing down in front of God. And he pardoned all these people. When persecution went beyond its limit, he migrated and he struck a number of deals so that peace could be maintained and no blood is spilled. So, Muslim imperialists cannot justify invasion against other countries in the name of religion, because Islam has advocated defensive war. But if you go to certain areas telling people about your religion, if the majority of that country, convert to Islam, that's fine. You don't need any invasion. This happened in Indonesia. This happened in part of Malaysia, according to some historian, and even in the Indian state of Kerala, where Muslim did not attack. So a number of Muslim in South India converted to Islam because of the freedom of speech, because of the preaching, because Muslims were in a position to put up their point of view. So the type of pride, the sense of pride that Mr. Sahil Adeem is trying to create, it's uh, it's really lamentable, right? It cannot be appreciated. On the other hand, he is also uh, indulging in historical inaccuracies by claiming that during the time of Imam Hanbal or Imam Ghazali, Muslim were ruling over the world. Another point is that this guy romanticizes the philosophy of people like Ghazali, Abul Hasan Ashari, Imam Hanbal. In reality, these were the very people who pushed Muslim societies towards backwardness, because Ghazali, according to some historian, declared that mathematics is evil. Imam Hanbal was strongly opposed to rationality that Sahil Adeem talks about. So, in reality, he's not reawakening people. He's trying to push them towards backwardness, towards narrow mindedness, towards traditionalism. While he does not talk about Muslim scientists, and these Muslim scientists were rationalists. They were not the follower of Imam Ghazali, Abul Hasan Ashari, Ibn Taymiyyah, or Ibn Hanbal. And apparently, it seems that this guy, Sahil Adeem, is the follower of these retrogressive elements who were opposed to science, who were opposed to rationality, who, in a way, especially Imam Ghazali, is said to be associated with Darse Nizami. And Darse Nizami has, in a way, stagnated Muslim society because there is not enough research. Darse Nizami has been working for more than 800 years now. It was established during the time of Nizam al-Mulk Tusi, and the Seljuki rulers of that time. They wanted parrot. They wanted people who would not have critical thinking, especially towards the ruling class. It is one of the reasons as to why Ghazali defended the ruling elite of his time, forbidding any sort of rebellion, even if a ruler turned out to be usurper. So Sahil Adeem is allegedly misguiding people, especially when he talks about their Muslim rule over the world, and when he glorifies people like Imam Hanbal, Abul Hasan Ashari, Imam Ghazali, and Ibn Taymiyyah. These were in in various degree, these were fanatical elements. These were the people who were in a way against science and rationality. Of course, there could be argument that some people say that Ghazali was like the Kant of the Muslim world, who said that there is a limit, like Kant came up with phenomenology and nomenology, two terminologies, and Ghazali came with the same ideology. But majority of the historians agree that Ghazali was opposed to rationality. He was the one advocating blind belief, and this blind belief enabled traditional mullah and the rationalist forces during the Abbasid time. They were in reality undermining the authority of these so-called mullah, these so-called scholars, these so-called ulama. That's why they eliminated the rationalist tradition from the Islamic world that was, in a way followed by Christian leaders. So most of the scientists, Muslim scientists or intellectuals or philosophers like Ibn Rushd, who is known as Averroes, Ibn Sina, who is known as Avicenna, Ibn Baja, Ibn Tufail, Al-Kandi, we need to see what happened to these Muslim scholars, what happened to these Muslim scientists, what happened to these Muslim philosophers. Almost every one of them had to face persecution in one way or another way, and it was because of these traditional mullahs who it was because of these traditional mullahs who are now defended by people like Sahil Adeem. So he's misguiding people. We should not have this idea of revivalism or hegemony. We need to coexist. We need to live other human being. There should not be any claim of superiority. In the language of Sufi and mystic, we are all the reflections of God, and we should treat all human beings as the creatures of God, and we should have equal respect for them.